breaking news.
Continuing our coverage of the crisis in Ukraine, we're going to go now to the White House, where we have new details of a phone call a short time ago between President Obama and Russian President Vladimir Putin. We have our own senior White House correspondent Jim Acosta at the White House. Jim, looking at the details of this looks like a very firm message from President Obama.
Absolutely, Jim. And I think one thing that stands out just as you start reading this is that this phone call lasted 90 minutes between President Obama and Vladimir Putin. And just to go through this, it says very frankly here, the United States condemns Russia's military intervention into Ukrainian territory. And I don't know if we have a full screen prepared just yet, but I can read this very next part, which makes it quite clear. The United States calls on Russia to de-escalate tensions by withdrawing its forces back to bases in Crimea and to refrain from any interference elsewhere in Ukraine. Why is that last part important there of that thing we're putting up on screen, that quote we're putting up on screen? Elsewhere in Ukraine, of course, Jim, as you know, as you follow all of this, there are concerns, great concerns about what is happening in eastern Ukraine because the Russians have a heavy influence there. There are many ethnic Russians in eastern Ukraine, and the White House has been peppered with questions all week about what would happen in the event that eastern Ukraine were to separate from western Ukraine. And the White House, of course, has said and will continue to say that they believe strongly in a unified Ukraine. And Jim, just to continue to go through this, I mean, we could go on, and I'll let you jump in. But the other thing that I thought was very interesting, and we got some indication of this last night, but it goes on to say quite clearly at the end of the statement that the United States will suspend upcoming participation in preparatory meetings for the G8 summit that is to take place in Sochi later on in June. And as you know, Jim, this was going to be another example for Vladimir Putin to show to the world that he is raising the profile of Russia, not only because of the Winter Olympics, but the G20 summit in St. Petersburg last summer. And so this is a clear diplomatic warning to Vladimir Putin that what is happening in Crimea right now is not sitting well with this White House, Jim.
No question, and getting to that point that we've been discussing a good deal the last few days, what are the costs of this? The president referred to that yesterday, said that there would be costs, but we did know yesterday that the G8 was in jeopardy in effect, and yet you had that vote today in Russia's parliament giving the president the right to send troops in. The other thing that drew my attention here was the president pushing back at Russia's concerns about the treatment of its ethnic Russians in that eastern part of the country you were talking about, and the president said that the appropriate way to address them is peacefully through direct engagement with the government and through the dispatch of international observers, in effect saying that, well, if there is this problem here, don't send troops in, that's only going to make it worse.